Hello there viewers, and welcome to episode 35 of F1 Talk. And obviously I do understand that there's been 2 episodes recently, but we've got another Grand Prix coming up this weekend. It's going to be the Italian Grand Prix. First of all, we've got some news from the world of Formula 1 and in and around the world of Formula 1, and then I'll come to my predictions and preview for the race at Monza on Sunday. So let's begin with Mr. Naughty. Pastor Maldonado of Williams has been given a 10-place grid penalty for the collision at Spa after the safety car went back into the pits. Usually these grid penalties are 5 places. I think it's 10 because he's consistently colliding with other drivers. He and Romain Grosjean, who I'll talk about in a few moments' time, they're always colliding with other drivers. Maldonado more than Grosjean. Grosjean's usually on first lap collisions, but Maldonado just does it whenever he feels like it. And he seems to have no respect for the other drivers. If I was Williams, I would actually get rid of him. But the mere fact that he is the reason that they have backing from the Venezuelan government, basically because of him, they're getting their millions, and they finally won a race again this year, Spanish Grand Prix, as you well know. It's difficult to say whether that outweighs his calamitous nature, so to speak, but very difficult to say. But if I was the Williams team, I would get rid of him, and to hell with the consequences. Now, the other day, Bernie Ecclestone was talked to by Eddie Jordan, and Ecclestone let it slip that Schumacher was retiring at the end of the season, this time for good, as I've said in my previous video. My thoughts on this are, Mercedes could use young blood, but Schumacher himself has said that's just a load of rubbish. I'm not quitting the end of the season. But who would blame him? Mercedes are not going anywhere. Things are changing all over the world. As I say, the silly season has started, and I'll come back to that a little bit later on. But Schumacher says that he's not quitting Formula 1 at the moment. The driver on form at the moment is McLaren's Jenson Button. Now, a tremendous win last time out at Spa a couple of days ago. Should give him the confidence he needs right now. He had a terrible, middle 4 or 5 rounds of the championship, maybe even 6 or 7 rounds of the title race, and he just wasn't having the luck. Now he has got the luck. He's also got the form, and at present I would suggest he would have the best car in the field. Now Red Bull, depending on the track, do have the advantage in tracks with a lot of corners and things like that, but Button has the form, he has the confidence, and as you can see from the picture, obviously he's got a smile on his face at the moment. Things are going right for him. He says that he can take the title this season, and if he continues the way he has been going just lately, it's a possibility. But we'll just have to see what happens there. Romain Grosjean, as we know, has a ban for Monza for causing the first lap incident at Spa, which is perfectly understandable. It was a horrible crash, taking out several drivers. Their test driver, Jerome D'Ambrosio, will replace Grosjean for this weekend. I can't see him doing a heck of a lot. Be a miracle if he gets out of session 3, to be honest. Test drivers, as we know, are not good enough to be race drivers. I'm not saying that Pedro Della Rosa for HRT is a good driver. He is a good driver. He proved that when he was driving for McLaren. But the thing is about test drivers, you look at Luca Badoa, couple of seasons ago when Massa was out injured, he did nothing. He came second to last in a Ferrari. All right, the Ferrari that year wasn't up to standard, but it was just poor performance. If he scores any points, it would be a miracle, I think, for D'Ambrosio. Yes, the Lotus is the fourth best car out there, or the fifth best car out there, but I can't see him scoring any points. But at least he's getting a day out at Monza. I mean, what a day to deputise. It's Monza, for heaven's sake. It's just as special as Spa, just as special as Monaco. The occasion's brilliant because of the Tifosi, the Ferrari fans, and all sorts of things like that. Former Williams driver and former American Kart Series champion, two-time champion, Alejandro Zanardi. Alex Zanardi has won gold in the 14-kilometre time trial in the Paralympic Games. Now, this is a guy who lost both his legs in a horrible accident in 2001. I always admired him for the mere fact he was that good at IndyCar, which used to be known as kart in America. This guy was dominant until he actually came back to Formula One for Williams, where he failed to shine, basically. But he's won the gold medal, and you have to say that is triumph over adversity. So well done, Alex. Brilliant result for him. And he actually won the gold medal at Brands Hatch, which is further just goes to show that he is a born racer, no matter what happens to him. So well done, Alejandro. And the final piece of news all goes back to the Michael Schumacher exodus from Mercedes, which, if it does happen, leaves a seat open for the 2013 season and onwards. Eddie Jordan has come forward and guessed that Lewis Hamilton is going to Mercedes. Now, this is all due to the fact that Hamilton had a bit of a tiff in the last race with the team for releasing telemetry data over Twitter. Now, in my own personal opinion, sports stars shouldn't be allowed to use Twitter. These, sports stars are looked up to by, people all over the world, especially kids. And he let the McLaren telemetry data from qualifying go through, or practice or whatever, go through Twitter. Other teams looked at that data and said, right, we'll do this and this and whatever. So there was a bit of a tiff, and it might spur Lewis on to a move to Mercedes. I've heard rumours, or I haven't heard exactly rumours, but apparently McLaren are going to have to start paying for their engines from Mercedes-Benz from next season onwards. It could very well mean the start of the decline in McLaren that I've anticipated for some time, because they won't get the top engines that Mercedes can produce. McLaren may well decide to make their own engines, and we know how disastrous that can be for some teams. So we'll just have to see what happens. It's not a bad idea, considering that Mercedes, I think in 2014 anyway, everything changes engine-wise anyway. They're going to be sort of like turbocharged 1.4 litre cars. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, as I said earlier, it's the silly season in Formula One. Rumours abound. McLaren have said this is a load of rubbish. He's not going anywhere. He's happy where he is. But just think about it for a second. If McLaren do start to decline in terms of stature, so to speak, the first thing to start that downward spiral, so to speak, would be Lewis Hamilton leaving them. He's been with them since he was a kid, as I keep saying in these videos. So we'll see what happens there, and if it happens, it happens. It'll be a very interesting team, because Hamilton and Rosberg are great friends. They were friends in GP2. They socialised together. They partied together. So we'll see what happens, and if it develops, then there's a brilliant race seat opening at McLaren that many people are thinking that Paul di Resta might take. And if there's any way for the rest are to progress, then it's alongside Jenson Button and McLaren. We'll see what happens. So on to my preview for this weekend's Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Now, it's one of the easier tracks of the year, considering that there's a lot of straight line speed. So you've got to have low downforce, but high enough downforce so you can get around the difficult first chicane. So, because you've got to brake from top gear, say almost at 205 mph, to get down to the first gear corner. The chicane, as I say, it's a really deep chicane as well. It's almost a 90-degree corner, the first corner. There has been crashes in the past, so it might be a good thing that Roman Grosjean is actually banned for this race. But the form he's in and the confidence he would have gained from Spa in his first year at McLaren, Jenson finished second. I'm picking him for the win, but I'm not picking him for pole position. I will say pole position will go to Fernando Alonso, because Alonso scored his first DNF of the season last time out at Spa through no fault of his own, obviously, but he will want to prove himself to the Tifosi, and I think he'll get the pole position, but Jenson will win the race. So you've heard it from me, you've heard my thoughts on the current news of Formula One. What do you think? Who's going to win the race? Who's going to get pole position? Is it going to be a good race? Unfortunately, it isn't live on the television as far as I'm concerned, so I'll have to watch the highlight programme. I may miss the odd piece of action, but the BBC's highlight programmes this year have been all right. So I thank you for watching, as you do each and every time. Give us your thoughts, comments and suggestions in the comment box, and I'll see you for the review show early next week. Thanks a lot.